Sunshine, movie review. So this movie was recommended to me by a coworker. I had never heard of it before he recommended it to me. Somehow or other it just slipped me by. But I was asking him if he saw any good movies recently. He said, yeah, this movie called Sunshine, which is by Danny Boyle, who is the same guy who did the movies Trainspotting and 28 Days Later. And he said, yeah, I really enjoyed it. So I decided to give it a try, and here I am with my review. So it is indeed by Danny Boyle, who is a unique filmmaker, and if you've seen any of his other movies, again, Trainspotting, 28 Days Later, you can kind of guess that you're in for an interesting ride. It's an interesting movie. It's hard to classify. On the one hand, it's very original, and on the other hand, there are a lot of elements in it which feels very familiar. The general tone of the movie is a suspenseful science fiction story with kind of a creepy feel, which reminded me of those old Outer Limits episodes, which I used to watch rerun on cable when I was a kid. The slow pace of the movie, the outer space setting, and the omniscient computer, which addresses everyone by name, reminded me of 2001: A Space Odyssey. On the other hand, the plot point revolving around the Arboretum, the tree garden, inside the spaceship reminded me of Silent Running, if anyone's ever seen that movie. The idea of finding a lost, abandoned spaceship and then trying to piece together what had happened to the old crew, this is a common plot device in many different episodes of Star Trek. The dwindling supplies and the mystery saboteur, this reminded me of Alfred Hitchcock's Lifeboat. Added to this, there are just kind of several general science fiction cliches. I'm not even sure who the first person to do these ones are, but ones that show up repeatedly in these kind of science fiction movies. For example, there's this old cliche about like a sinking submarine, and you can escape through the torpedo hatch, but one person gets to escape through the torpedo hatch, the other person has to stay behind and push the button. So that cliche is in this movie as well. The cliche about a mysterious visitor to the ship is in here. So a lot of elements that really do feel familiar to this movie, but the producers have done a good job of mixing all these elements together, and I'd say in the end it works. It's a slow-moving movie, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but you do have to be in the right mood to watch it. It's not quite as slow as 2001: A Space Odyssey, but it's kind of on that end of the spectrum. So you want to be in kind of a contemplative and patient mood when you cue this one up to watch. For the most part, I enjoyed it. I got a little bit impatient during the drawn-out ending sequence. And the choppy filming style at the end didn't really help things either. But that's only an issue just during the kind of final few moments of the movie. On the whole, I'd say I enjoyed it. It's a nice little suspense movie, and it kind of recreates in a good way that kind of feeling of the old Outer Limits episodes, or maybe The Twilight Zone.